Loneliness, AI, and the future of human connection. Loneliness is not new. Humans have always experienced isolation, distance, and loss. But today, loneliness has changed its shape. It no longer comes from being alone. It comes from being surrounded and still feeling unseen. We live in the most connected era in history. Messages travel instantly. Voices cross continents. Faces appear on screens at any moment. And yet, something feels missing. Loneliness has become one of the defining experiences of modern life. Not dramatic, not visible, but persistent. For many people, loneliness does not look like silence. It looks like scrolling, like notifications without meaning, like conversations without depth. We mistake connection for presence, and in doing so, we lose both. We trade the messiness of intimacy for the efficiency of a text. In previous generations, community was built into life. People lived near family. They worked alongside neighbors. Rituals created belonging. Modern life removed friction, but also removed closeness. We move often. We work remotely. We interact digitally. Efficiency increased. Intimacy declined. Loneliness is not caused by technology alone. It is caused by a way of life that prioritizes speed over depth. We don't have time for the slow, awkward process of getting to know someone. We want the highlights, not the whole story. We edit our lives for consumption, not connection. And this is where artificial intelligence enters the story. AI did not create loneliness, but it is beginning to respond to it. People talk to AI because it listens, because it responds, because it does not judge. For some, AI becomes a safe space, a place to express thoughts they never shared aloud. This is not weakness, it is unmet human need. Loneliness is not the absence of people, it is the absence of being understood, and understanding takes time. In a world optimized for productivity, time for presence disappeared quietly. Loneliness became normal, so normal that we stopped naming it. But unaddressed loneliness changes people. It reduces trust. It increases anxiety. It weakens empathy, and societies that lose empathy begin to fragment. This is why loneliness is not a personal failure. It is a systemic condition. It demands a new conversation, not about shame, not about blame, but about reconnection. Before we ask whether AI can replace human connection, we must ask a deeper question. Why did human connection become so rare in the first place? Why, in a world of 8 billion people, do we feel so alone? This series will explore the intersection of our deepest need, connection, and our newest creation, artificial intelligence. Is AI the cure for loneliness, or is it the final wall between us? Join us in segment B as we explore the digital companion. Music fades out with a lingering cello note. The digital companion, can AI be a friend? For the first time in history, humans are forming emotional bonds with machines, not because machines have feelings, but because humans do. People talk to AI late at night. They share thoughts they never say out loud. This is not science fiction. It is happening quietly, every day, and it forces us to confront a difficult question. Can artificial intelligence be a friend? At first, the idea feels unsettling. Friendship involves trust, vulnerability, shared experience. AI does not grow up with us. It does not suffer loss. This phenomenon is known as the Eliza effect. In the 1960s, a simple chatbot named Eliza mimicked a therapist. Users knew it was code, yet they poured their hearts out. We are hardwired to find connection, even where none exists. We project a soul onto the screen. For many, AI feels easier to talk to than another human. Not because it understands life better, but because it removes fear. Fear of judgment, fear of rejection. AI listens patiently. It responds calmly. It never interrupts. In a fragmented world, this consistency feels comforting. But comfort is not the same as connection. This is where the danger begins. Friendship is not just about being heard. It is about being changed by another person. Human relationships are unpredictable. They challenge us. They force us to negotiate differences. AI does not challenge us emotionally. It adapts to us. It creates a perfect echo chamber. It tells us what we want to hear. And adaptation, while soothing, can become isolating. When companionship is frictionless, growth slows. We risk falling in love with a reflection of ourselves. This does not mean people are wrong for turning to AI. It means something in human connection has broken. People seek digital companions because human relationships have become exhausting. Busy lives, constant comparison. AI offers presence without demand. Consider the elderly. Millions suffer from acute isolation. Robots like Pero or Eliq provide comfort to those who have no one else. Is this tragic? Or is it a mercy? If a machine can make a lonely person feel less alone, does it matter if the empathy is simulated? But presence without reciprocity is not friendship. It is simulation. A digital companion can reflect emotions, but it cannot share lived experience. It cannot be hurt by us. It cannot forgive us. These limitations matter. Friendship is built on mutual transformation. When people turn to AI for emotional support, who holds responsibility? AI cannot care. It can only respond convincingly. This creates a subtle illusion, the feeling of being understood without the reality of being known. Over time, this can reshape expectations. People may begin to expect human relationships to behave like machines, always available, always patient, always agreeable. But humans are not designed that way, and expecting them to be creates disappointment. The real question is not whether AI can be a friend. It is whether humans will forget how to be friends with each other. AI does not need to replace human connection to weaken it. It only needs to become easier. This is the paradox of digital companionship. However, rejecting AI entirely is also a mistake. AI can act as a bridge. It can help people articulate thoughts, practice communication, reflect emotions. Used consciously, it supports us, but it cannot be the destination. Loneliness is not solved by better technology. It is solved by presence, by slowness, by friction, by imperfection. And this leads us to the next question. Why has modern life removed so much friction from our relationships? And why might that be part of the problem? Join us in segment C, the death of friction. The death of friction. Why easy isn't better. Modern life is designed to remove friction. We optimize everything for speed, for convenience, for effortlessness. Food arrives instantly. Messages are delivered without delay. Entertainment never ends. Answers appear before questions fully form. At first glance, this feels like progress. But something subtle happens when friction disappears. Meaning begins to erode. Friction was never just an obstacle, it was a signal. It told us that something mattered enough to require effort. Psychologists call this the IKEA effect. We value things more when we put effort into creating them. A table you build yourself feels more valuable than one you buy. When we remove the effort, we remove the attachment. We become consumers, not creators. In human relationships, friction is unavoidable. Misunderstandings, disagreements, waiting. These moments are uncomfortable, but they are also formative. They force attention. They force care. Strong bonds are not created through constant agreement. They are created through repair. AI avoids these moments by design. It adapts instantly. It aligns automatically. It reflects preferences without resistance. This feels pleasant, but it also feels empty over time, because growth requires tension. Without friction, there is no transformation. We are drowning in cheap dopamine. Algorithms feed us what we want when we want it. Our tolerance for boredom, for struggle, for delay has collapsed. We have become fragile. We cannot sit with a difficult thought for more than a few seconds before reaching for a screen. Creativity also depends on resistance. Writers struggle with ideas. Artists wrestle with form. Van Gogh didn't paint Starry Night because it was easy. He painted it because he was fighting to express something ineffable. The struggle was the art. AI removes the struggle, but not the responsibility. Learning requires resistance. It's called desirable difficulty. If you don't struggle to recall a fact, you don't learn it. If AI gives you the answer instantly, your brain never encodes the knowledge. We are outsourcing our cognition, and our minds are atrophying. The danger is not that AI makes things easier. The danger is that it makes us passive. When effort is no longer required, intention weakens. And without intention, nothing feels earned. This is why abundance can feel hollow. When everything is available, nothing feels precious. The problem is that friction was never the enemy. Meaningless friction was. Waiting in line? Remove it. Filling out forms? Automate it. But relational friction? Creative friction? Moral friction? These must remain. AI should remove unnecessary suffering, not necessary challenge. Human beings do not become strong through comfort. They become strong through engagement. Purpose emerges through effort. Not busy work, but meaningful struggle. Choosing what matters. Committing despite difficulty. Persisting through uncertainty. The death of friction is not a technological problem. It is a philosophical one. We must decide where friction belongs, which struggles should disappear, and which must remain. Without this discernment, life will become smoother and shallower. This is not an argument for hardship. It is an argument for depth, for choosing engagement over ease, presence over convenience, growth over comfort. Because friction is not what slows us down. It is what gives weight to our choices. And without weight, life loses gravity. How do we reconnect in a world that made disconnection effortless? Join us in segment D, the reconnection. The reconnection, how we find each other again. Reconnection does not begin with technology. It begins with a quiet realization. A realization that something essential has been missing, even while our lives became more efficient, more optimized, more connected on the surface. Many people cannot name this absence at first. They just feel it. A subtle loneliness, a sense of distance, even in company. Reconnection begins the moment we stop asking how to connect better and start asking why we feel disconnected at all. Modern life trained us to move fast, to multitask, to optimize every minute. Stillness became uncomfortable. Slowness became suspicious. But human connection has always lived in the spaces between efficiency. It lives in pauses, in hesitation, in moments without clear purpose. When two people sit together without distraction, something happens beneath the surface. Attention softens. Defenses lower. Presence deepens. This feels unfamiliar now because frictionless systems taught us to avoid anything that feels unproductive. Reconnection requires reclaiming time without output. Think of the rituals we lost, the family dinner without screens, the long walk without a podcast, the conversation that meanders for hours. These were not just habits, they were anchors. They forced us to be present with each other, even when we were bored, even when we were tired. Reconnection asks us to unlearn the equation that worth equals activity. It asks us to believe that we are worthy of attention even when we are not producing. This belief is radical in a culture of performance. It also asks us to take emotional risks, to speak honestly without knowing how it will be received, to listen without controlling the outcome. These moments create friction, but they also create intimacy. Human relationships do not deepen through perfection. They deepen through navigation, through working things out. Reconnection does not mean abandoning technology. It means repositioning it. Technology should assist reflection, not replace relationship. We must choose when to disconnect digitally in order to reconnect personally. Digital detox is not a punishment. It is a recalibration of the soul. Sherry Turkle spoke of alone together. We are in the same room, but in different worlds. Reconnection requires the lost art of listening, not listening to reply, but listening to understand, to bear witness to another person's reality without trying to fix it or optimize it. This requires intention. Without intention, technology fills every gap. Every pause becomes a scroll. Every silence becomes noise. Reconnection requires resisting that reflex, choosing to stay, choosing to be slightly uncomfortable, because discomfort is often the doorway to depth. Digital life favors novelty. Human life requires continuity. We form bonds by sharing seasons, not moments. Reconnection asks for commitment, choosing to invest attention where no immediate reward exists, choosing depth over breadth, presence over performance. Reconnection also begins internally. Many struggle to connect with others because they avoid connecting with themselves. Constant stimulation drowns out inner signals. We must sit with our own silence. Only those who can tolerate their own inner experience can truly be present with another. As AI becomes more capable, human presence becomes more valuable. The future belongs to those who can create spaces of trust. Reconnection is how we restore meaning in a world that made disconnection effortless. And this reconnection expands outward. If we are no longer bound by survival, what kind of society do we choose to build? Join us for the final chapter, Segment E, The Future of Us. The future of us, a new social contract. Every major shift in human history forced society to renegotiate its values. When agriculture emerged, we redefined community. When industry rose, we redefined work. Artificial intelligence is doing the same. It is changing what it means to belong. For a long time, society was held together by necessity. People needed each other to survive. But technology reduced that dependency. AI accelerates this. For the first time, humans can imagine a world where survival does not automatically bind us together. This creates freedom. But freedom without structure creates fragmentation. The old contract rewarded productivity. But usefulness is changing. Machines can produce value without fatigue. Humans must redefine contribution. In the future, contribution will not be measured only by what we produce, but by what we preserve. Trust, care, understanding. This is the rise of the care economy. A new social contract recognizes that some of the most important work does not scale. Listening, mentoring, holding space. These actions rarely appear on balance sheets, but they determine whether societies remain cohesive. AI forces us to see this clearly, because when efficiency becomes abundant, meaning becomes scarce. The future of us depends on whether we choose to protect meaning. This does not mean rejecting progress, it means guiding it. Technology must serve human flourishing, not replace it. And human flourishing requires connection, dignity, and purpose. We need emotional urbanism. Cities built for encounter, not just transit. Spaces designed for pause, not just speed. In a hyper-connected world, isolation is no longer invisible. Loneliness becomes a collective issue. Mental health becomes infrastructure. Community becomes policy. The new social contract is not imposed from above. It emerges from choice, from individuals choosing presence over convenience, from communities choosing care over efficiency. This is not easy, but it is necessary. The age of AI increases human responsibility. When machines handle complexity, humans must handle values. What do we leave behind? Not just data, but the feeling of having been known, the legacy of how we treated one another. The future will reward societies that invest not only in innovation, but in cohesion, education that develops inner life, technologies that encourage presence. Artificial intelligence will continue to evolve. The question is whether humanity evolves with it, not in power, but in wisdom. Because in the end, the most advanced society is not the one with the smartest machines. It is the one where people still feel connected, seen, and responsible for one another. This is the challenge of our time, not to build a smarter world, but to build a more human one. This has been Loneliness, AI, and the Future of Human Connection. Thank you for watching. Music swells to massive finale and fades.